Paul79 here. I hope you're safe and well. Welcome to part 6 of my home EV build. In this episode, what I'm going to show you that I've done recently is the wire tapping for the Tesla modules. I've got one of them here, and basically wiring up the harness to this Orion BMS 2 BMS system that I have. So the BMS stands for battery management system, and you need one of these to basically look after all of your batteries. And the idea is it just monitors them, it monitors the temperature, it monitors the voltage of all the cells in there. And the idea is it has to it helps keep all the cells balanced, so they've all got the same level of charge. Because the way it works is when you have loads of batteries connected up in an EV, it's not like you run one battery down completely and then you use the next one. The idea is you want them all to slowly discharge or run out at the same pace, so they have to be sort of balanced, and you need a system that enables it to do that. Now, why am I doing this now, even though I've only just started the build? Well, you have to connect this BMS to every one of your batteries, and in my case I'm using Tesla batteries. And when you sort of construct the battery pack, you have to plug them in, and then you connect the batteries up with bus bars, etc. So it's not one of those things that you can basically build the battery pack and then plug these in afterwards. It has to be done at the same time. So that's why I bought the BMS straight away. I've been reading up on how to do it all. Certainly the cell tapping side, and I wasn't going to do a video on it because it's not particularly sexy, but I couldn't find anything on YouTube that sort of talked about the Orion BMS with Tesla batteries and exactly how you wire it up. I found ones with using other batteries, but I also, I looked up on forums. I've actually spoken to the guys at Felton as well, and basically I gained all of this knowledge, and I thought, you know what, let's just do an idiot proof, hopefully, video, so others who are thinking about doing this exact configuration can get some help for free. So let's get to it. See you later. Bye. So let's go through everything that I've got on the bench here. So first of all, this is your Orion BMS. This one is a 144 cell unit. It's got 4 plugs, so there's 4 harnesses. The harnesses are like this, right? Now this is a 6-foot one. That's the standard one that comes when you buy one of these. Here's all of my harnesses that I've already done, and I've tapped everything. I actually have 4 harnesses here, of which 3 are 6 foot and 1 is 12 foot because I need an extra long one, don't we all? Now this is one of these motherboards from Felton, right? Now this is designed to be used in conjunction with the Orion BMS, and what you have to do on every Tesla battery module is you have to swap out the Tesla BMS motherboard with these. These are also known as Zero EV or Stealth EV. Anyway, there's videos on their website. I don't go into that much detail about how you connect it up, but the very useful thing is they have the for the connectors, it tells you what the pins are in and in which place, but I'll go through that later. What else do we need to talk about? Oh yes, so when you're doing this, obviously download the instructions. So this is for fitting of the whole BMS system. I have another harness in there that's I've yet to tackle, but that's more about connecting this bit up to make it work. You could also do with one of these cell tap machines, right? These are a godsend, because once you've tapped all the cells and you know exactly what you're doing, you can plug it in and test it, and it will tell you whether it works or not. So I've rented this for 2 weeks from Felton, so I've got 1 week left. I've done everything works, so I better send that back to them, otherwise they'll tell me off. But yeah, so that's the basics, right? So let's talk about these harness and how this BMS is sort of configured. So each one, let's start from sort of scratch, right? So a Tesla module here has basically, now I've written this down, here we go. So it has a 74P, that stands for 74 cells in parallel, and a 6S, 6 cells in series configuration. So basically, the way I understood it is there are 6 groups of 74 cells here, right? Which means in total you have 144 cells in each of these modules, right? Now, the way the BMS does, it doesn't monitor 444. It actually just monitors the groups of the cells, right? So it monitors 6, okay? Which is why on these motherboards, you have numbers 1 to 6. That's for each of the groups. Now, the way the Orion BMS harness is sort of set up, it's set up to have 3 groups of 12 cells per connector, right? So technically there's 36 cells you tap in each one of these connectors, and if there's only 6 cells in each Tesla battery, effectively you could have 6 of these modules all wired up to this one connector, right? So you could have a battery pack like this here. So what I've got here, I've got one Orion connector, so that goes in there. And all these wires come out, all these pretty coloured wires, right? They come out, you could effectively wire them all up to 6 Tesla batteries in one battery pack, okay? Now, I'm running 14 batteries, right? So you're probably wondering, why have I bought such a big BMS system, right? That has the possibility to have 144 cells. That's effectively 24 of these, right? Why have I got such a big one here for only 14 Tesla batteries when it could do 24? Well, this is a very important thing that you need to bear in mind, right? So when you have your battery pack, right, you could have one massive battery pack of say 12 Tesla modules all in one big box, right? And if you had that case, you'd basically have 2 of these connectors in use, right? But with your battery pack, they're all connected together and all in one big box, right? So because they're all in one big box, effectively you can't disconnect a single one from each other, right? So that is fine. The problem with the BMS is, right, I've got another diagram here, bear with, right? So you have one Orion battery harness here, right? So and it's feeding 6 Tesla batteries, yeah? But these batteries are split into 2. I've got a pack with 4 and another pack with 2, and that's an external high voltage cable, right? Technically, each of your packs sealed in their boxes should be able to be disconnected between them, right? And the problem is, so like, you know, you might have a fuse in between here or a contactor, yeah, to make it safe. The problem is if you do that and only use one harness to span these 6 with this brake here, it breaks sorry, the camera stopped there. What I was saying is if you have them split like this and able to be disconnected between each other, but the BMS is all connected with one connector using yeah, just one set of wires, the BMS system doesn't like it and it won't work, and it will cause faults and potentially internal damage, right? Because between each of these connectors are fuses, so as you can have a natural break between sets of connectors, but you can't have a break in power between within a connector, if that makes sense. Okay, so the issue for me is I have 4 separate battery packs, right? I'm going to have 2 with 4 modules in and 2 with 3 modules in, right? And they're going to be contained within each other. All the modules connected are obviously within each other, but then externally they'll be connected with high voltage cables and fuses and contactors between them, so they will naturally be separate, yeah, unless the ignition's on, and then they're all connected together because they're connected in series. So that's why I need to have effectively 4 of these. So I'm going to have a lot of wiring that's wasted, but you know, hey ho, that's the way it goes. it talks about this in here, but hopefully with me sort of explaining it in layman's terms, you get to sort of understand the issues that we have. So what I'm going to do next now is actually talk you through the cell tapping and exactly how it all works. Okay, so when you get one of these harnesses and you look at it, right, lots of wires, looks like a plate of spaghetti, but what they do is they all come labelled with the relevant cell numbers, right, and they're colour coded as well. So the orange ones are for cells 1 to 12, and then it goes this lovely pink colour, that's for 13 to 24, and then the yellows are 25 to 36, right? Now, so what I'm going to talk you through is how to wire up the first set of oranges, okay? Now, this isn't just designed for Tesla batteries. They do it in these 3 groups of 12 because I can imagine there are probably other batteries there that cells are in groups of 12, not 6s like the Tesla modules. But anyway, it's very simple once you get your head around it. So in each set of 12, right, you'll have a black wire. Okay, so let's find, where's a black wire? So one of these black wires I've got here is labelled -1, right? And that's basically your negative wire. Can't even find it in here. Anyway, see that there's +1, and there'd be a black one in here that's -1. Anyway, right, so you take -1 and that goes in your negative there, right? That's the connector. That X means that connector is not used. These T's are your temperature sensors, right? That also comes with the Orion. I'll talk about that a bit later. And then here are your cells, okay? So effectively, these orange ones, the orange wires 1 to 6 will go in those connectors there. And the -1 goes in the negative. And then for the second set of orange numbers, which will be 7 to 12, they go, you basically count again, yeah? So 7 will go in number 1, 8 will go in number 2, all the way up to 12. 12 go in number 6, right? But you're probably asking, does there need to be a negative wire in this second felt-in board? No, there doesn't. It doesn't need to be. So if you actually look at this wiring diagram here, so I've got 2 batteries here. So this is battery number 1, and I will put pictures of these at the end of the video. But you can see here I've got the Felton BMS number, and then I've got the Orion BMS number, and the colours of the wires, right? So yeah, in the negative is -1 number, and it's black. Then you've got all your oranges 1 to 6, and then in the second Felton board we have Felton pin numbers 1 to 6, and it goes 7 all the way to 12, and they're oranges. And the negative in the second one is not used, okay? It's in yellow, Na. So that's how you do the orange wires. And then for the other 2 batteries that I've got, because I'm going to have 4 in a pack, yeah, you're basically -13, which will be a black wire, goes in the negative on the 3rd Felton board. And then the pink ones, you've got 13 goes in number 1, 14, blah, 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 all the way to 18. And you just repeat the process. So you could do this actually 6 times, yeah, and have 6 Tesla modules all wired to that one harness. So you're probably asking, what about me? What do I do with my yellow ones? Well, because I've sort of completed a set of 12 twice here, I don't need these yellow ones, so I just cut them off and cap them off. And that's what's happened here. So you can see I've got my 4 connectors. So this goes into 4 Tesla batteries, right? And I've got, it's all been wrapped, you know, in heat shrink and whatever. Here's my plug. These yellow ones don't actually go anywhere. They're just cut short here and capped off. And then that will plug into one of those connectors. Okay? So one other thing I need to mention about these this wiring loom is, so I've tested it all, and what I did is I had 4 Tesla batteries stacked up here on top of each other. When you connect them up, So if we look here, so this is my first plug, right? You can see there's a number 3 and a 2 there. So this is the first set, right? You have to, when you plug them in, you have to make sure you plug them in the right order, right? So the lowest set of cells, so this is 1 to 6, oops. This one is 1 to 6. It has to go in the most negative battery, right? So this is the one at the bottom, all right? So then, and then you connect, you got 1 to 6 here, and then in the next one you have 7 to 12, and then in the next one you have 13 to 18, and the next one you have 19 to 24, and so on, right? If you don't do it in the right order, then when you connect it up with your machine, it won't work. Now the last thing I want to talk about this, right, is what happens when you have an odd number of, well, not an odd number of cells, maybe think about it as an odd number of Tesla batteries. So I have two of my packs is only going to have 3 modules, okay? And as I said before, in each harness are 3 sets of 12, right? So 36. But technically, what I'm going to do is on the last battery, okay, you can hear the fireworks going off, sorry about that, guys. In the last battery, I'm going to have some wires, the pink ones, 6 of the pink ones, not effectively connected anywhere. So what you need to know about that is you follow the same process, but basically in my case for pin 18, okay, or sorry, for wire 18 on the Orion harness that will go into the 6th hole here, okay, you're going to have wires 19 to 24 left over, right? Now if you don't, what you need to do is in the very last pin you need to connect all those wires together as well as 18 to go in the last pin. So you can see here what I've got here is in number 6, cell 18 contains basically wire 18 plus all the wires 19 to 24 connected together, so you effectively have 7 wires going into one, yeah, to make it work. And this would be, you know, the same if you were doing 5 modules. You'd have just the last 6 left over. You just need to connect them up. So if we look here on this pink one, you can see there is an 18 there, but wire number 18 further along in the harness, in this little bumpy bit, where is it? Oh, it's just in this bumpy bit here actually. I've got wires 19 to 24 also all connected to it, and it all goes into that one pin, okay? So that's just another thing you just need to be aware of. So while you're doing the cell tapping, what you should also do is wire up your temperature sensors, okay? So that's what the T's are on here. So this has wiring for 2 temperature sensors for each battery. So for each temperature sensor, you wire up T1 and T2 together, right? It's a bit misleading, the actual label, to be fair. It's not like you do T1 and T1 together. It's T1 and T2, T1 and T2. Now, with the Orion BMS, it comes with the temperature sensors. They're called thermistors, right? And it's a long set of wires, and 2 wires, so 2 wires, and there's 8 of them, so there's 16 wires, but they're all in pairs, and at the end is the thermistor. And what it sort of talks about in the instructions is you put the thermistors in the battery packs. I think they're sort of suggesting, you know, as long as the sort of thermistor is sort of attached to the battery in some way, it can sense how hot this is getting. But the boys and girls at Felton said it's better to hardwire them directly into the actual connector of the motherboard. So the thing is I've got 14 Tesla modules, and it only comes with 8 temperature sensors or thermistors. So what I've done is I've obviously, in a 4 battery pack, I've wired up 2, right? And so I'm going to wire up all 8. But the idea is you know, you do that at the same time. So what you can see here, well, you can't probably see it very well, is the bottom row of wires are all the cell taps. that one here in the top corner is the negative, you know, -1, etc. And then the other two are the temperature sensor. And I've basically got that wiring running all the way through, and it comes out here. You know, you're able to extend the thermistor temperature sensor wiring. It says it in the book, and I need to do that anyway. So what I did is I thought I'll just put the wiring in. When I finally connect this up, I'll reconnect that to the base unit. It actually goes to the current sensor on the Orion sort of setup. So haven't got to that stage yet, but I'll be doing that when I start figuring out how to actually wire up the main unit. But yeah, that was it really. So, you know, like I said, I've tested it all works, and because I've now done this, I can sort of start thinking about assembling the battery packs. I've already sort of trial runned it and sort of had a go and worked it out. So hopefully might be able to do a bit more on that tomorrow. Might get my Tesla motor back next week so I can test that up, see if I can get that going, because my aim is to get that running by Christmas. So we haven't got long really. And yeah, hopefully probably the next video will be me sort of showing you how I do the battery packs and start with them. So anyway, this is one for the hardcore EV fans only, I think, because it's a bit of a dry one. But I hope you found that interesting. And please, if you think I've done something wrong, I'm no expert whatsoever, I'm an idiot. Please leave me a comment or contact me, because you know, I wouldn't want to mislead people and someone to hurt themselves. Anyway, big disclaimer there. Take care everyone, see you next time, bye.